Hello everyone. This is Jesse. I just wanted to share with you guys some things that I've been learning lately. Thought it was worth sharing. I believe the Lord wants me to tell you people about it. It's very interesting. It's very deep. So I'm gonna pray and we're gonna get into it. Father, I pray that you give me the understanding and the words and the wisdom to speak what I know really well, that people will understand, and that it will ignite something in their heart, if only that they will search your word. Pray that people will look towards you as I share what I'm about to share in Jesus' name. Hey, a couple of days ago, I was reading this book. It's by Stephen P. Kershaw, and really all he's talking about is like the history of the Roman Empire. So yeah, I started on chapter 1, and I was reading about the mythical foundations of Rome. Accordingly, the Romans, they were an offshoot of the Greeks. After the Battle of Troy, where most of the Trojan army and Trojan people were killed, there was a small contingent of Trojans who were able to escape. And upon their escaping, they according to the legend, they traveled by ship, went to Carthage, first went to I think Sicily, then Carthage, and then to Rome. And when they got to Rome, they settled down there, and their descendants later became the Roman Empire, the Roman people that we know, that we all read about, learn about. Julius Caesar and all. Julius Caesar accordingly could trace his lineage directly down to the first king or the founder of the Roman Empire. So in that sense, he sees himself as a very special man. But yeah, that person that leader who escaped from the Trojans, accordingly was called Aeneas, and he was the son of Dardanoi, who was an ally to the Trojan king, King Priam. And yeah, him and his people went to the Trojans to help them fight off the Greeks. But somehow when the Greeks were able to destroy the Trojans with the Trojan horse, Aeneas and a small band of people were able to escape. When they escaped, like I said, they traveled to Sicily, then to Carthage, and then to Rome, where they settled and started the Roman Empire. But that's not really what I'm going to talk about. What happened was, when I read about Aeneas, it actually reminded me of something that I learned from this guy here. You can read it. Josephus, he was saying that in his book Antiquities of the Jews, book 12, in I think chapter 4, in book 12, he's really just covering the time of the Maccabees. If you don't know, the Maccabees were Jewish priests back around about the 2nd century or so before Christ, when there was upheaval in Israel, when the high priest invited Antiochus Epiphanes to come and help him to claim the high priesthood so he could rule over his people. And in so doing, he called in not just Antiochus to make him high priest, but he called in Hellenization, in that he tried to try and get the he invited the culture of the Greeks into Judea. And Antiochus Epiphanes, with his new invitation, made it a must that all Jewish people had to serve the Greek gods and worship them, and not serve their own God and do their own worship that they've been doing since God brought them out of Egypt. Yeah. And so in the story of the Maccabees, first the Maccabees refers to Judas Maccabeus, who was the main leader of the group, but the story starts with his father, who, when he saw what his people were going through, decided that it's not right that they should serve the gods of the Greeks and neglect their own God. And in so doing, it's better that they were to die, at least fighting for freedom, than just to submit and do what they knew wasn't right. But yeah, in the book of Antiquities to the Jews, book 12, in chapter 4, it mentions a letter from the king of Lacedonia, or the Lacedonians, which, if you don't know, is the same as the people of Sparta. And in this letter, the king of the Lacedonians sent a letter to Onias, who was high priest then, telling them that he had just discovered that his people and the Jewish people are related. They're all children of Abraham, and this and that and that and that. So he lays that out. But when I was learning from the book that I just showed you before about the founding of the Roman Empire, in my mind I knew this, but in my mind it wasn't the Spartans, it was the Romans. So I was like, yeah, this could be a good point, but I don't necessarily know, so I'll go and research to find out. So I was searching, reading, and I looked up Aeneas, the founder of Rome, and I read about him, and like I said, he was the son of Dardano, or rather the grandson of Dardano. He was the father of the Dardanian Empire, of people, which was situated in Asia Minor, which is like modern day Turkey, and not far from the ancient city of Troy. So yeah, like I said, I put it in my mind that what the king of Lacedonia said was actually a reference to the Romans. So I was trying to see if there's any proof that is true, or that if it's not true. And like I said, I researched, read, and as much as it seemed to mix, I realized it was not mixing. And when I realized it was not mixing, I said, well, let me go and look this up again. So yeah, I took the book and started looking for where it mentioned what triggered me to go search. And I realized that I made a mistake in that same book that I just showed you, there was a part on the latter end where Judas Maccabeus receives a treaty from the Romans saying that they'll help him in all that they'll need to help him with, and they'll behave and treat each other like brothers. And then I realized that that's what tricked me. Because of the other quotation, I took that for the first one, and reason that the Romans were saying they were brothers to the Jewish people, but I was wrong. So yeah. But when I perceived that, I found the letter of the king of Macedonians to the high priest Ananias to the people of Israel, the Jewish people. And then I noticed that I was wrong. It wasn't the Romans, it was Macedonians, which is pretty much the same as Spartans. But after that, I said, let me look this through again. So I went on the internet and I wanted to see if there was any link between, say, well, let me backtrack. When I learned about the founder of Rome and about his ancestry, that they were Dardanelles, I looked up the Dardanelles to see if there was any link to them and the tribe of Dan, because like I said, I reasoned that the Romans were the ones that were linked to the Jewish people. And so because I reasoned that, I was trying to find if there's proof for it. And then I started looking for the proof. I noticed that, like I said, Aeneas was a Dardanelle, was a prince of the Dardanelles. And the Dardanois sounds a bit like Danoi or Dan. So I was thinking, were they the tribe of Dan that went out of the nation of Israel and went north and disappeared from the people? And Dardanois sounds like Danoi, sounds like Dan. So I was looking it up. And strangely, like when I was looking up the Dardanois people, I realized that the emblem of them is a Star of David and a double-headed eagle. But like I said, I wanted proof that I could stand on, so I didn't want to take that. I wanted to keep on looking and looking. And I noticed that as much as I looked, that was pretty much the only sign that it could be linked. But to me, that wasn't good enough. So I didn't want to take that. Yeah. And as well, I remembered, or I looked it up, that according to Jewish culture, the symbol of the tribe of Dan, at the very first it was a snake, but later on in their history they changed it from a snake to an eagle. And if you know the Bible, like, you know that in the Gospels there are 4 books or 4 Gospels about Jesus Christ. And if you know any like theology, they always teach that each of those 4 books represents one of the 4 camps of Israel. So like in the camps of Israel, that's when Moses took the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt and were going to the promised land, God told him how to arrange the camps. So he set up the camps, and of all the camps, they were facing north, south, east, west, and they had 4 leaders over the camps. One of the leaders of the camps were one, Judah, Ephraim, Reuben, and Dan. And Judah's sign was that of a lion, Reuben a man, Ephraim an ox, and the sign of Dan was an eagle. And not just an eagle holding a snake in his talons. And accordingly, those 4 insignias are 4 titles that Jesus Christ has. Jesus Christ has a title of a man. He became like that. He became like us. He has the title of an ox. That's for Ephraim. And that means that he was a servant. The title of an eagle, meaning an eagle and a lion. Lion meaning he was a king, and eagle meaning he was a prophet. So these insignias go somewhere and have meaning. But the insignia of Dan, when I saw that the Dardanelles had a double-headed eagle for the insignia, then I thought, maybe they are the tribe of Dan. But there was no further proof apart from that. So I didn't want to take it. And after thinking and looking and realizing things weren't fitting, like I said, I went back to the book and looked up the part in the Antiquities where it talks about the Lacedaemonians saying that they are brothers to the people of the children of Israel, in that they are also descended from Abraham. Alright? So they say descended from Abraham. So if they descended from Abraham, how do they descend from Abraham? How? They have to descend somehow. And like when I was doing my reading, I looked it up quickly about Spartans and Danes, because after all, the Danites left the nation of Israel and went on their own. So there'll be somewhere, somewhere in the world. And like I said, I first thought it was the Danai, but the evidence for it isn't, you can't stand it. But when I remember this and I read what I saw from Josephus, then I wanted to see if, what if the tribe of Dan went to the kingdom of Sparta and became part of them? What if? Because they do say that they are descendants of Abraham. So like I was looking up my thing on the website that I was on, and the writer was saying that he doesn't find any proof why the Spartans could be like descended from the tribe of Dan because of this and that and that. But that's what the author said. So I left it alone there. I didn't dwell on it too much. But I had a side note in my mind, and I'll show you. When you read from Antiquities of the Jews, book 12, chapter 4, at the end of verse 10, I'll just read at the end of verse 10, after the king of Lacedaemonians. The name of the king was called Arias. And he says, I'll read it for you. It says, we have met with a certain writing, whereby we have discovered that both the Jews and the Lacedaemonians are of one stock and are derived from the children of Abraham. Okay? And at the end of it says, anyway, I'll just read the whole thing. It is but just therefore that you who are our brethren should send to us about any of your concern as you please. We will also do the same thing and esteem your concerns as our own, and we will look down on our concerns as in common with yours. And then it says, the Demolites who brings you this letter will bring your answer back to us. This letter is foursquare, and the seal is an eagle with a dragon in its course. Do you notice that? The seal is an eagle with the dragon in its course. What does that sound like? Remember what I said, that the tribe of Dan, their insignia was an eagle with a serpent in its talons. What's a dragon? A dragon is pretty much another form of a serpent. So there you have it. It says so right there, plain and clear. But the interesting thing though is that the author I was reading from online was saying that the Lacedaemonians only claim stock from Abraham. So if they only claim stock from Abraham, that implies that it can't be Dan, because if it was Dan, the tribe of Dan, then he would say we are brothers and not just stock. But I believe that guy made a mistake, because like I was reading, it says in the middle of this, we who are our brethren. So even if he's saying stock, he's still saying brethren. That's they're still brothers. Anyway, when I got up this morning, the thought of it was in my mind that it may very well be that the Spartans, the stock that they're talking about, is a mixing of the tribe of Dan, with their people. And like, I was thinking about that, and then I realized, because I remembered something that I knew, and I realized that the tribe of Dan, that's the tribe that Samson was from. Everyone knows who Samson is, who was the world's strongest man. Okay? That was his tribe, Dan. And as well too, there was a legend or a myth that said that the Spartans or Macedonians, or at least their kings, traced their lineage from Hercules of the Greeks. So that was in my mind. Then I remembered that there's actually more to it. That the myth of Hercules and the story of Samson, from academic viewpoints, from people who study their stories, they say that there is actually a similarity or concurrence between the two stories. One is that Hercules fought for his people, the same as Samson fought to deliver his people. Two, they both killed lions with their bare hands. Three, there's legends of both of them drinking water from a rock. Four, they both were said to have carried the gates of the city on their shoulders. 5, there's 6 points. 5, accordingly, they were both betrayed by women. Samson, Delilah, Hercules, their nurse. And 6, both of them died of their own hands. So in relegating, it's as if Hercules and Samson, they may not be the same person, but it's like they are, or it's as if even if they aren't, they correspond, they go together. So putting that together, Hercules and Samson can pretty much be seen as one person, even though they're different. They're like the world's two strongest men. And accordingly, the Macedonians, they are saying that they are from the stock of Abraham, they are brothers to the Jews. According to legend, the kings of the Macedonians were descended from Hercules. And then as such, the tribe of Dan left the nation of Israel to go wandering in the world looking for their own place. So yeah, there's a possibility. Putting that together, it may not be so strong, I admit that having Hercules had been the world's strongest man before, Samson was the world's strongest man, and them having stories that correlate, is it too much of a stretch to reason that the people of Samson and the people of Hercules became one person? It's a good theory. And that's what I wanted to share with you, that idea that it could possibly be that the people of Sparta, Macedonians, as I read that in Josephus, they said that they came from the stock of Abraham. I'll add a side note too. Accordingly, some people may find this strange or interesting, but according to Josephus as well, in Antiquities of the Jews, book 1, he actually teaches that Hercules was actually a real person that lived. And more than just being a real person that lived, he was also he also had relations with some of the descendants of Abraham. That's also there. And accordingly, he married one of their sons. So going all the way back then, Josephus is saying that the descendants of Hercules are half Hebrew. But yeah, like the story of Hercules and Samson being able to coincide, implying that they go together, and the children of Dan leaving their homeland to look for their own place, and eventually possibly becoming part of the nation of Sparta, is an interesting idea. And accordingly to in the region of Sparta, they're said to have found Hebrew Israelite graves, implying that Jewish people or Hebrew people were actually there. So accordingly, there's a bit of evidence in my theory. But I also noticed that apart from all those mishmash that I said, that there's actually another very sound reason to consider that what I'm saying can actually be true. And the reason to consider that what I'm saying can actually be true is that if you like, many of you who are listening to me may be Christians, may know the Bible, would have read the Bible, would know about the Bible. But have you noticed that in the Bible, especially in the New Testament, whenever they refer to the Gentiles, they call them Greeks. The Greeks. As if to say that the Greeks are like perfect effigy of the Gentiles, while as the Hebrews or the Jewish people are the people of God. The Greeks are next to them. So it's like Jewish, Greek, Jewish, Greek. The Jews are especially the children of God, they're the called of God. But at the same time, the Greeks are seen as like a perfect equal. So yeah, in that sense, could it be that the Lord in his great wisdom and power allowed or made it that when the Danites left the land of Israel to look for their own, they settled because they had left God's people whom they were part of because of idolatry. That when they eventually came to themselves and found their place, they found their place with Israel's perfect opposite. It's worth pondering on. And just as well, the Bible is written in Hebrew and which could possibly be an answer to the mystery that people have been thinking of for years and years and years. What happened to the tribe of Dan? I think by this we may know. Anyway, thank you for taking your time to hear me and consider my point. I hope it's been useful to you. Yeah, but it's something worth looking into, considering. To me, I believe it makes a lot of sense because, like I just showed you the evidence, like from Josephus and all of that. It makes sense. I could even call it true if I wanted to, but I'll leave it to you guys to think about, look into. Maybe you'll agree with me. God bless. Bye.